12 incredible races of one-up Turbo Truck Series racing has led to this moment, the cutoff race, the regular season finale, the Canadian Tire 250 at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in Ontario, Canada. 26 laps of racing await our truckers here today, and 4 of them will join the field of the playoffs here this afternoon. Alongside me in the booth today for today's race is Ben McDonald for today's running, and well, this is what everybody's been waiting for all year long, is to see who makes the playoffs. We've got 6 guys locked in already, 4 more can join them, and we've got a lot of big names on the outside looking in.
Yeah, those 6 guys that are locked in are sitting pretty right now, not have to worry too much about this race, but the rest of the competition, they're going to try their best to hopefully win this and come out with a playoff spot. This track is very challenging, and it's going to be a good one to watch here.
So now we can look at the starting lineup of 42 trucks here today. Of course, no double dippers here this weekend because this is a standalone race while the other series are elsewhere in Canada. And for the first time in his career, Kev Shearer gets the pole position by a wide margin over second place Jeremy Whalen. So they will start on the front row. Brian Grigsby and Jack Boswell, who originates from Canada, lines up third and fourth. Zach Rogers, who locked up a playoff spot at Knoxville, rounds out the top 5. We got some names further back looking to secure a spot. James Ellison's currently 7th in points. He's looking to make his way in. He starts 6th. Allison Rain, after a troublesome weekend at Knoxville, starts 7th today. She's got to worry about making her way into the playoff field. Noah Hart, starting 8th, has no shot. Billy Kidd's already locked in. And Aguo Zhao, rounding out the top 10, has the slimmest of chances. So, with that being said, we got a lot of stories to keep our eye on through this race. But there's got to be nerves going on for the rest for this field of drivers, knowing that their playoff spot is waiting for them one race away.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to say the least, but it's all coming down today, so it's going to be interesting to say the least.
So with that being said, the trucks are all lined up on the grid, and we're ready to bring you 26 laps of action from the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. This is the One-Up Turbo Truck Series regular season finale, and the green flag is moments away. Stay tuned, because this race is one of the most important we'll see all season. With Kev Shearer on the inside, Jeremy Whalen on the outside, the green flag is in the air. We're underway at Canadian Tire for the regular season finale. Whalen got the better launch of the two, but Kev Shearer is going to have the inside line through the first corner, and he is going to easily clear Whalen for the lead as they're double wide, several rows deep, further behind. As Shearer leads the field off in the next few corners, everybody makes it through the first set cleanly.
Yeah, this is a very good job by the rest of these drivers, just keeping it clean, even side by side, going through the carousel here. The O2 having a good lead over the 83, going down that little short chute, going up the hill and down the hill into the double right-hander.
Heading into the hairpin, this is going to be one of the trickiest spots all race long, because if you mess up your entry or exit in this hairpin, it'll be cause for a lot of trouble. As you see Jeremy Whalen going off track a little bit, that allows Brian Grigsby in the 92 to sail past the 83, move the 92 up into second.
Yeah, the 92 did a good job going through that section. Now has a long way to go down this back straight, but still trying to catch the leader in the O2. There's plenty of passing opportunities and plenty of race to go as we just started this thing.
So Grigsby is now the main challenger to Kev Shearer so far. As we head down through the S's for the first time, James Ellison's made up 2 spots on the opening lap. He's made his way up to 4th, past both Jack Boswell and Zach Rogers to get there. If he can finish right where he's at today, James Ellison will be racing for a championship. But there's still plenty of racing left to go. There's still 25 more laps of this. And Kev Shearer holding a pretty steady wheel out in front, as it looks as though Ellison and Boswell are back side by side, but Ellison clears once again for 4th. Heading into what you call a carousel here, Shearer leads Grigsby and Whalen as we enter lap 2.
Yeah, Ellison's not going to be waiting around. He's going to go for the win to secure himself that way, because that's the best way to do it. Basically have a couple point difference between first and second, where to anywhere else in the pack it's maybe a 1 point difference. So just trying to do what you can to get as many points as possible. As Ellison getting some aggression by the 38, but trying to stay in front of him.
Yeah, he got around. Jack Boswell's been a thorn in his side for a little while, but Ellison manages to clear once again. Looking further back, you can see Allison Rain and Noah Hart side by side. This is for 7th. Rain clears the 09. Rain needs a really good run here today to boost herself into the playoffs. Billy Kidd's already locked in. And this is a story we had our eye on last time out at Knoxville, but we're going to have our eye on it again here. The Kings Motorsports Sweepstakes ride, driven this week by Jawan Davis in the 71. Brandon Smith drove this truck to a 6th place finish at Knoxville. That gives him a pretty good advantage in this contest between he and Davis for this full-time seat next year. And Davis is already putting on a very strong charge. He started 11th. He's already gotten up 2 spots, up into 9th.
Yeah, Kings Motorsports doing really well in all 3 series. Obviously trying to show their stuff in the truck series. The 71 doing a really good job at that, but obviously still trying to push forward.
Yeah, Davis making his truck series debut in this race, doing a very good job running in the 9th spot. He wants to earn more points than his competitor and his teammate, Brandon Smith, to try and earn that ride for next year. But back up front, going into the hairpin, it continues to be Kev Shearer out in the lead with Grigsby and Whalen. Ooh, Grigsby goes off track just a little bit. You're going to see that quite often coming out of the hairpin in this race, as Shearer holds a pretty steady lead. But now Grigsby comes under fire from Jeremy Whalen for 2nd. They're going to be probably side by side, maybe not, but they're definitely going to be nose to tail going into the next corner.
Yeah, this is very interesting. 2nd and 3rd place battling with 4th place looming. It's definitely going to be interesting to say the least that if the O2 can get out to a big lead, especially if there is going to be pit stops in this race, to gain a bit of ground and try to, leave a little bit of a buffer between the rest of the field and himself to be able to come down pit road and execute as well as they are doing on the racetrack.
So Shearer currently holds a 1 1/4 second lead over Grigsby in 2nd, and another half second back to Whalen, then another half second back to Ellison in 4th. So Shearer's got a pretty nice lead. He's not in contention to get into the playoffs. He missed the first 4 races of the season, but he's on a monumental meteoric rise through the point standings. He entered this race 19th in points despite missing those first 4 races, and if he can win this race, it'll boost him even further up the order. Not enough to make the playoffs, but still, what an incredible, albeit abbreviated season for this 0-2 truck.
Yeah, it definitely will be, but obviously trying to go for wins at the moment is definitely the key to racing, and obviously to lock in a spot for maybe next season to go full-time for the whole entire season and race for the championship, maybe even move up into NNS or SSS. Who knows? Just wins put good spots on your resume, and it shows different teams, hey, I'm here to compete and I'm here to race every week.
We know Shearer is going to be full-time with Kings Motorsports next season, so we hope to see him race for a championship then. But now our focus is on 5th place, Jack Boswell. He's a native Canadian. This is his home track. He'd love to have a strong run here in this race, and he's currently got it. He started 4th. He's currently running 5th. Very nice run from this 38. Of course, it used to be driven by the late Fisher Miller. It's a great remembrance for him. And now we look back at Jawan Davis, who made his way past Noah Hart a few laps ago to move up into 8th place. So this 71 is on a tear here. He needs to get at least a 6th or better to equal what Brandon Smith did at Knoxville. But what I think it balances this out in Davis's favor is that Brandon Smith's other race in this truck is at Talladega later in the season, while Davis's other race is at the season finale in Homestead. Much more stable as to how you can control your own destiny at Homestead rather than Talladega.
Oh yeah, for sure. Talladega is going to be an interesting one, to say the least, coming up through the playoffs, definitely, as more things and more situations appear. But we're going to look at the O2 now, starting to build a little bit more of a gap, it seems like, to the 92 and the rest of this field. He's doing a really good job in that Toyota.
So Shearer comes off of the final turn to lead lap number 5. He's led every lap so far. And look at that gap he's built over 2nd place Brian Grigsby. It is 1.8 seconds over that Shearer has. And that is a not insignificant margin, especially at a road course like this, where passing is not the easiest thing in the world. And if you can get a big gap, you definitely want to take it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Track position also matters. So thankfully these guys qualified really good. Didn't have to get through too much lap traffic, but you see drivers like the 71 who's moving up through the field and trying to battle for that 7th place position with Allison Rain.
Yeah, Davis is working hard to try and equal what his teammate did last time out, but even if he doesn't, this is still a great run on debut for Davis in the 71, but he's got to get around Allison Rain to get up there, and I don't think Rain's going to want to give up any positions to anybody, because she is on a lifeline to make the playoffs as things stand right now. I believe she was 13th in points going into this race, and that is a very tough hole to dig yourself out of. A very bad race at Knoxville for her, but she's running pretty solidly right here in the 7th position. We'll see if that's enough.
Yeah, it definitely will be, but obviously she wants to move further up and try to get some more track position and more points, because obviously you don't want to settle for just the bare minimum. You definitely want to secure yourself in that, but obviously nobody's just going to give that to her. Obviously the 71 and the rest of these drivers up in the front, they're just not going to let that happen.
And how about Brian Grigsby? He's been on an absolute tear that last lap. He clocked in the fastest lap of the race right there, and he chopped the gap down by 1.3 seconds on that last lap alone. Grigsby is absolutely charging towards Kev Shearer. We could have a battle for the lead in a few corners.
Yeah, he definitely did a really good job last lap, and he's going to set himself up to have the draft of the O2 going through the back straight. As the O2 goes a little wide, this is definitely going to help out the 92's case and hopefully draft up and be right there before this next set of corners.
Yeah, Grigsby has been overshadowed by his teammate a little bit this season, and Ryan Griffin, who has 2 wins this season already. Grigsby entered this race just on the fringes of the top 20 in points. He's not going to be able to make the playoffs from there, but a win here today would certainly turn his season around in a positive direction, and he is right on the bumper of Kev Shearer at the moment. They're battling really hard for the race lead as we enter lap number 8.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job, just not overcrowding him, not overstepping his bounds, just holding a steady line, being very smooth with it. He is now right at the O2's bumper, so at any moment he could make a move and try to make it work, but right now I think he should try to save a little bit, maybe get in front of the O2 before the pit cycle happens.
And remember, this was a driver a couple races ago that was being touted for aggressive driving. He was put on probation after the race at IRP for some questionable conduct there, but his probation's been cleared. He's learned from his mistakes, and he's all over our leader, Kev Shearer. He runs a little wide for the entrance of the hairpin, but that could set him up nicely for a run out of the hairpin. He went a little wide. That's going to cost him just a bit of time, but that's all it takes, especially on a really long straightaway like this one.
Yeah, got into the marbles a little bit going through that double right-hander, but obviously still holding good position. The 83 creeping into frame. Might want to have a word with the 92 and try to challenge himself for second place and maybe even the win.
Yeah, Jeremy Whalen, he's also never won in the Turbo Truck Series. He's running a limited schedule for Team Duke this season, doing a very nice job in what few starts he's been able to put together. And this is the best run he's had in quite some time. So a win for him would be a very good day for that 83 group, hoping to maybe boost his 2 teammates into the playoffs. One of them's already locked in, the other one's looking to do so here today. But the gap now between Shearer and Grigsby back up to a full second. So Shearer managed to survive 1 charge from the 92. We'll see if he can do it again later.
Yeah, just got to build up the momentum as we take a look at the 10s. Still doing really decent for himself. Obviously not up there with the leaders, but can really just do anything with that. As if they start battling, he will be right there, but obviously still wants to be up there and challenge for that, especially as the playoffs are really close for himself.
Yeah, Ellis, if he can finish right around there, Ellison will be very much in the playoffs right now, as Jawan Davis loses a spot to Billy Kidd in the 72. That's the battle for 8th place. So Davis back to 9th, Kidd, who's already locked up a spot in the playoffs last week at Knoxville. He's up to 8th at the moment, with Noah Hart lurking in the background in the 10th position. but there's still a lot of this race still to go. We still got plenty of racing left, and these trucks are going to put on an absolute show for us, as they always do. So we make our way back up to the race for the lead, and the gap has grown up to 1.25 seconds once again.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I wonder if the O2 was saving a little bit going through that time that the 92 was pushing, but who knows? Obviously, the O2 doing a really good job building up his lead once again, as they are going to try to put on a show here for the rest of us. But the 92 and 83, they are looking about equals right now and not getting away from each other one bit.
So Kev Shearer continues to lead the way. He's led all 9 laps so far. Of course, he led a huge chunk of the last race at Knoxville before being shuffled back at the end. But Shearer doing a very nice job. He's on the fringes of that first career win. But Shearer runs really wide through the hairpin this time, and that opens the door for Brian Grigsby to mount a serious charge down this back straightaway. Grigsby, you can see, closing in every second. Could the 92 be setting up a move going into the final few corners?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. The 92 just looming. He wants to get up to that lead before anything happens. Obviously, cautions can possibly happen at road courses, but there's never really a guarantee. The 92 just trying to do what he can to hope that the 02 makes another mistake and possibly get around him and try to take control of this race.
And look at that, the gap's down to just 0.3 of a second between Shearer and Grigsby for the lead. And Jeremy Whalen's still back there. He's fallen a little ways off the top two, but if these two have a little coming together, which, like we've seen plenty of times at Canadian Tire in the past, that opens the door for the 83 to sneak by. So he's just waiting in the wings for these two to come together. I fully expect these guys to try to race each other cleanly, but should that not happen, Jeremy Whalen is in the prime position to strike.
Yeah, huge respect for these guys for racing so clean already. But obviously, you don't know what's going through these drivers' heads and wondering, what could I do? Could I maybe bump him a little bit? Do I race him clean throughout? I don't know. But the 92, right on the back bumper of the 02 there. He's doing a really good job.
Yeah, this could be setting up a big move. And look at that. He pulls out on the 02 down the back straightaway and heading into the S's. This could be the pass for the lead right here between Brian Grigsby and Kev Shearer. Shearer, who's led all 10 laps so far. Grigsby trying to lead for the first time in his career, coming through the S's now. And Shearer carries a lot of speed, but Grigsby has the preferred line, and the 92 is clear. Move Brian Grigsby to the race lead for the first time today, but Shearer's going to try a crossover move on him.
Yeah, it did not work out for the 02. Not enough momentum. Did not want to slide up into the 92, but 92, he's doing a really good job right now, just taking command of this race now and trying to build out a bit of a gap in front of the 02. The 02 has not run in dirty air this whole entire race, so it's going to be interesting to see how he does run this race.
Yeah, these are the first laps, to my recollection, that Grigsby has led in his career. So a very good day for this 92, no matter what happens from here on out. And this is going to be a very good case for him keeping this ride next year. Jeffrey Finguy, the team owner, is yet to decide on that, but I would very much consider it now after the run he's having here today. Grigsby goes a little bit onto the marbles there, and that allows Shearer to get right back onto the bumper of the 92. This could be setting up another move for the lead. The battle rages on.
Yeah, they're doing really good right now. The 02 just side by side with the 92, trying to pull him back so that he can do the same move that he did to him a lap earlier. Well, obviously, this is going to be one good battle for the rest of this race.
Yeah, Shearer is going to try and poke his nose in on the inside of Grigsby, and it looks like he's going to have some space. Oh, they almost make contact coming through the penultimate corner, but Shearer is going to have the inside line coming through the final corner, and he will take the lead back from Brian Grigsby. What an enthralling battle we have at Canadian Tire for the lead, and we're just now hitting halfway.
Yeah, this has been very exciting. We still have half the race to go. The 02 taking command of the race again, as he did not like that 92 being out in front. He wanted to be the driver that challenges for every position, and he did that perfectly. He's taking command of this race, but this is also allowing the 83 to catch up just a bit here.
Yeah, Whalen is closing the gap. Not too much at a time, but he's chipping away at it for sure. But Grigsby takes a little wider line down the hill and up towards the hairpin. This is going to be very interesting. We've seen moves made here in the past. Will Grigsby make a move here? Shearer goes quite... Actually, Grigsby's the one that runs pretty wide through the exit of the hairpin, and that allows Shearer to pull out an even bigger lead.
Yeah, he did a really good job of trying to stay on the racing surface, but was just a little bit too aggressive, just trying to get back to the O2, but doing a good job keeping position, though, and still staying in this fight, just a little bit off of the O2. This is soon to be a 3-car battle for this win here.
But don't forget, we've got pit stops approaching. The window is open now. We've made it past halfway. You can definitely make it on one pit stop. The question is, when do these guys start to peel off for the pits? Because fresh tires do mean a lot here, and I'm not sure if you want to stay out there on old tires much longer.
Yeah, the undercut is definitely the way to go here. Obviously, you want to get off pit road as fast as possible. Be the first one to get onto pit road, but also still making it to the rest of this race. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys take their strategy and possibly make a charge for the win here, and using the pit stop strategy to their advantage.
Yeah, Shearer is holding on to the lead right now. Grigsby hot on his heels. Will we see another exchange of the lead coming through this hairpin as we see Grigsby with the fastest lap? Oh, and Grigsby makes a really nice diamonding of the corner, and while Shearer goes wide, Grigsby's already halfway past before they've even hit the back straightaway. Now Grigsby back to the lead.
Yeah, really clean move. First time we've seen something like that in a while, going through the double right-hander. 92 taking charge of this lead and trying to do what he can to build a little bit of a gap from the O2, trying not to let him pass him once again, and obviously just wanting to keep that clean air to himself.
So it looks like everybody in the lead group is going to stay out an extra lap here. And so this battle rages on for another lap between Brian Grigsby and Kev Shearer. This battle that we've been so enticed by the last 14 laps continues on for its 15th lap, as Grigsby holds the lead over Shearer, with Whalen just still lurking back there, just hoping that these two overstep their boundaries just a little bit, enough for him to come by and take out the lead.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job, but obviously strategy, they're all kind of on the same strategy right now, just trying to stay out and see who pits first, and then after that they will soon follow the next lap. But 92 wanting to keep that clean air as much as possible and build up that run, and possibly not get held up in lap traffic or traffic at all, like going into the pit lane.
So Grigsby and Shearer make their way. Yeah, this is a full-fledged 3-truck battle for the lead now, as Whalen has completely caught up now. But Grigsby holds the lead down the back straightaway with Shearer in hot pursuit. This is going to be a very close battle into the pits, because I would not be surprised if they come in this time. Their tires are pretty old. Their lap times have fallen off by about 2 seconds at this point. It wouldn't surprise me one bit, but I'm not on the pit box, I wouldn't know. But it looks like they're coming in this time. Here they all come into the pits.
Yeah, this is a smart move. Coming to lap 16, it'll be about 11 to go, 10 to go once they come back across the racetrack after warming up their tires. A bunch of people went in for pits, but the 72's staying out, trying to make something of it, having a different strategy. Multiple drivers are, but obviously a majority of the drivers down on pit road.
Yeah, Audrey Anzac's one that's staying out. She needs to make something happen. If she's going to make the playoffs, she stays out. Austin Runkle, he needs a big day to make the playoffs. He stayed out an extra lap. Buren Jacob did as well. And it looks like, oh, we've had a big crash entering the pits, it looks like. And it looks like it involved the 91 of Bronson Minnick. And it looks like a few others. Knox Hanley's involved as well. Memphis Fisher in the L1. Brett Bishop in the 56. All of whom have pretty significant damage on their trucks. A few of them may even be done for the day already. So you can see Bronson Minnick. He was running 37th at the time. And looks like he was going to peel off for the pits along with everybody else. I think he's just wavering on his decision, and he fails to commit fully. And oh yeah, just nowhere for Brett Bishop in the 56 to go. Knox Hanley, Maston Rimmel, and Memphis Fisher all have to come to a full stop to avoid hitting the 91 themselves. It looks like Minnick and Bishop going to be done for the day already. Tough break, but that's what happens when you have a narrow pit entry and a lot of trucks going for the same bit of real estate. As it looks like now, everybody who stayed out under the previous lap is going to come in this time. Brian Grigsby retakes the lead. It looks like Kev Shearer actually had a bit of a slow stop. He's fallen behind both Jeremy Whalen and James Ellison. So Shearer now runs in the 4th spot, as Grigsby will now have a pretty commanding lead once this is all said and done. A bad stop from the 02 could have just decided the race winner right there.
Yeah, but the 92 still has to perform, as that 83 was really catching them there at the end. Had a lot of long run pace. The 10 always lurking, stayed in that 4th position the whole entire time, now up to 3rd, holding a podium spot. But we still have the 02, 72, 34, still all really close to these leaders. But it's going to be interesting, to say the least, how everybody's going to approach the 92 and try to chase him down.
Here's Allison Rain making a move on Billy Kidd, who's fresh out of the pits, going into the hairpin, and it looks like Rain's going to take that spot easily from the 72. Rain needs a really good day out of this, and right now she's running a net 5th on the racetrack, so a very strong run from her. Will it be enough to make the playoffs is the big question, but as things stand right now, Brian Grigsby holds a massive lead over Jeremy Whalen and James Ellison, who are battling it out right now for the 3rd position, but in the 2nd spot, I should say. But coming through the S's for the 17th time in this race, Brian Grigsby coming now to 9 laps to go in this race. We'll see what his lead is at the line. And drum roll, please. Oh my, that is a 3-second lead Brian Grigsby has to work with. So my question is, can Jeremy Whalen make that up in about 9 laps?
It's going to be interesting. We've seen the lead cut down to a second and less, maybe, by only just 1 lap. So the 83 has to do what the 92 did earlier and just keep on cutting as much time possible throughout this run. Obviously, you're not going to catch up 3 seconds in 1 lap, but just trying to chop down to the time as much as possible while getting you to them and enough time to hopefully make a move for it and battle along with them. But that 83 still has the 10 right behind him. Maybe they could work together, maybe not. Who knows? 2 different agendas, and trying to go for this race win is the goal.
And the big thing for Jeremy Whalen, I was just about to mention it, he needs to get James Allison as far behind him as possible, because I don't know how much you can work together on a road course like this. As you see, Kev Shearer, he's cleared Allison Rain, but he's got to work really hard, because I think he's got one of the fastest trucks on the racetrack right now. As you see Billy Kidd make a move on Allison Rain, trying to get the 5th spot back. Going through the S's, they almost make contact. Pretty par for the course here. But Billy Kidd down the inside, the Outlaw trying to work his way around Allison Rain and up into the 5th spot. Will it happen on this lap? Not quite.
Yeah, these two have been side by side and battling this whole entire race. Surprised to see that nobody has gotten out in front just yet, but they're all still really close together as we look back at the 92. Still a little bit of a lead. Obviously, the 83 cut down just a bit, but it's still going to be interesting to see how much time he can cut down before the end of the race and to see if it's enough.
Yeah, he cut a 1/4 of a second out of Grigsby's lead that last time by. I think if he's gonna want to get that lead, he's gonna have to cut out about 4 to 5 tenths per lap, because that'll give him enough time to catch and then set up a pass, because that's the big thing. As it always is the case in racing, catching a car is one story, passing them, whole different one.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's going to be interesting. Road courses they're not too prominent in these stock car series. Obviously, the ovals are everybody's expertise, but you can always have fun at a road course, no matter who you are. But the 82, or the 92, sorry, and the 83, they're doing a really good job, and hopefully they can put their oval experience to work here, maybe even have some road experience before this. Obviously, we have run road courses here in the series before, but obviously this is a whole different breeding ground.
Yeah, this is, believe it or not, our fourth and final road course race of the season for the Truck Series this year, and they've treated us to some really fun moments in all four of them. But this might be the best one yet for these guys, as Brian Grigsby now only has a 2.2 second lead. Whalen chopped off half a second on that last lap, just what he needs to do. He needs to keep doing that, because now we only have about 7 laps to go to the end of this thing.
Yeah, he's still doing good, but not good enough. I don't think it's going to be enough to get to the 92 in time. Obviously, he's doing a really good job of cutting out the lead instead of, losing to the 92 and maybe even losing to the 10. But he's doing a really good job just keeping up his pace and trying to go for that win and just trying to be at the 92 when it counts the most.
Here's a battle for third place brewing between James Ellison in the 10, Kev Shearer in the 02. Shearer's led a good chunk of this race. Ellison yet to lead today, but I don't think Ellison's going to fight this one too hard if he can help it, because Ellison knows that as long as he can finish in the top 10 today, he's going to be playoff bound at the end of this race. So what Ellison needs to do is don't fight the 0-2 too hard, but don't be a total pushover either, because that won't bode well for the playoffs. The point is, if Ellison wrecks right here, that could kiss his playoff hopes goodbye. So he needs to have a steady run in the top 10 to make that dream happen.
Yeah, just 5 more laps to go left in this, or 6 more laps to go, as we still have plenty of racing left, plenty of time to make mistakes, but also just gotta have to worry about the rest of your competition. Just make sure you're not giving up too much time. As we see the 92 and 83 still, the gap is closing between the two. It's going to be interesting to see when the 83 will be able to close up to the 92, or if he can at all.
So Whalen doing everything he can. I think Whalen's a little bit better in the hairpin than Grigsby is at the moment. And that is where you're going to make up the most time today, I fully expect. As the battle for third heats up, Ellison's going to let the 02 by. He doesn't need to fight him that much, because he's thinking big picture in that 10 truck. The playoffs are what he's concerned about, and as long as he can finish right there, he's going to be racing for a title. But now that Shearer's by, what can he do to make this race interesting? I don't think he's going to have enough time, certainly, to catch the leader, but if he can catch that 83 and get into a battle with him, that could open the door for Grigsby to pull a massive lead out.
Yeah, it definitely will. The 02 has a lot of work to do. Obviously, good job of getting back up into P3, getting onto that podium, but that's still not his goal. He wants to win this race, but there's 5 seconds in between him and the leader, and about 3 seconds in between him in second place of the 83. So it's still going to be a lot, and just not enough time, I don't think.
And don't look now, but I see some lap trucks coming into the mix as well. A little further ahead, Knox Hangley in the 7, Maston Rimmel in the 06. They were involved in that pit lane incident a little earlier on. They are currently on, well, Hangley is already 2 laps down, but Maston Rimmel is on the tail end of the lead lap, and I don't think they want to lose another lap to these guys. I don't know if it's going to be enough, because I don't think Grigsby will be able to catch them in time, but if he does, that could allow the 83 to start catching at a rapid rate.
Yeah, it definitely wants to keep that clean air, wants to get by those lap cars as soon as possible, but obviously you don't know their agenda. You don't know if they want to stay on the lead lap or stay on the lap that they're currently on. But that 92, all that he wants to do is win this thing and try to build up a gap as much as possible, so he doesn't really care for those lap cars. Just going to try to do his best, be the commander of this race, and try to get by them as soon as possible.
4 laps to go, and the gap has grown to 3.2 seconds. I don't know if Whalen used up his stuff trying to get to the 92 or not, but I think this might be game, set, match, unless something major happens in the closing stages, which it still could. You never really consider a race over until the checkered flag flies, but Brian Grigsby's just got to be looking out the front windshield thinking you can't make mistakes at this point in the race if you want to win.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job in pulling away from the rest of the competition. He pulled away from pretty much everybody that was inside that top 5. But obviously, he still has traffic in front of him and still has pressure from behind. So he's not just by himself just running laps. He still has to consider everything else around him. But still have to put your race together, put your laps together, put your corners together, and hopefully come out with checkered flag in hand.
So we've now got we're coming up to 3 laps to go, and Brian Grigsby. At this point, Jeremy Whalen would have to gain a second lap to catch the 92, and I don't see that happening. They're on the same age of tire, so it's gonna take a massive effort from Jeremy Whalen to make it happen. 3 laps to go from Canadian Tire, and look what I forget what I just said. Jeremy Whalen just took a second out of the lead.
Yeah, he really clocked in on that lead. He said it's go time. He's definitely wanting to push as hard as he can. Obviously, not enough time left in this race, but he just wants to get up there and try to be there before the white flag comes out, because that's really when you want to be able to push as much as you can. That 92, I don't think he's worrying about the lap times right now. He's just worrying about, can I make every single corner? Can I just keep it consistent? As we look through the field, everybody's still racing as it is. No matter what, who you are, you're still trying to get 4 points, because we still have playoffs left. Still plenty of racing left in this season. The 02, 72, they're all trying to drive. They're all trying to do what they can for the championship, and even wins. They aren't even in the championship. So it's going to be interesting, to say the least, how everything unfolds after this race.
Here comes Billy Kidd making a move on Kev Shearer down the back straightaway. Remember, Kidd is racing for a championship. Shearer is not. So Shearer's got nothing to lose by making a big dive here. I don't know if he's going to do it or not. But Riley Hooper, you see in the 00 back there, he moved up into the 9th spot. He's racing for a playoff spot. He entered this race 12th, only a few points out. So Hooper trying to do everything he can. We've now got 2 laps to go, and Jeremy Whalen's got the gap down now to just a second and a half. This is enthralling. This is great stuff. Great stuff from Canadian Tire.
Yeah, there's action everywhere on this racetrack for the lead, and even for the top 10, and probably even further down in the field that we're not seeing. But this 83 is on a mission, just trying to track down that 92. He's doing a really good job at it, as he is in frame of the 92. He is almost there. He just needs to put down a killer lap and a half, just to try to get up to the 92 and charge for this win.
Both drivers looking for their first career win in the Turbo Truck Series. Brian Grigsby, Jeremy Whalen. Oh, they both run wide through the hairpin. That's not going to help either of their causes, but it might keep them balanced down the back straightaway. We're coming to the white flag this time, and the outcome of this race is very much up in the air still, because Jeremy Whalen is running at a monster pace, trying to get by that 92 with just about 1 1/4 laps remaining.
There's still a lot of racing. The 83, he is right there. He can just see the back of the 92 and just wants to get by it. He's trying to do what he can, going through the final 2 corners as we reach the white flag here. The 83, he's there.
1 lap to go from Canadian Tire, and the gap now 0.4 of a second. Jeremy Whalen made up a 3-second lead and 3-second deficit in about 2.5 laps. He is hungry for a win. Can he charge past the 92, or will Brian Grigsby fend off the challenge? Coming through the first few corners for the final time, heading into the carousel. This is going to be a very important set of corners for Jeremy Whalen. He needs to get the traction down, put the power down as soon as possible, up the hill and then back down it, to just try and get around this 92, going up into the hairpin for the final time.
Yeah, this is going to be the most crucial part of this racetrack, and the point of this race. Going into the first apex, slow down for the second apex. There's lap traffic in front, not going to be too much of an issue. The 92 runs wide, but so does the 83, still there on his back bumper, going up through the backstretch for the final time.
He's going to have about 2 more chances at this, at the end of this straight, and then going into the final corner. But Brian Grigsby, what a job he's done to hold off Jeremy Whalen for this long. Whalen very much deserves this win. Brian Grigsby very much deserves this win, but it can only be won by one of these 2 drivers. Coming through the final few corners for the final time, Whalen's too far back, and as they come for the final corner, Brian Grigsby fends off the challenge, and at long last, he is a winner in the 1-Up Turbo Truck Series. Brian Grigsby wins the Canadian Tire 250 in a dramatic late race charge, cut short for Jeremy Whalen. 2nd place, an impressive run, a career best for him, but man, he came so close to that first win. He'll be remembering this one for a while. Billy Kidd in the 72 comes home with a career best finish in 3rd. Kev Shearer 4th. Zach Rogers runs out the top 5. Jack Boswell on home turf comes home 6th. A very strong run for him. Allison Rains 7th. That might not be enough for her. James Ellison 8th. That's enough for him. He'll be racing for a championship. Riley Hooper 9th. And Jawan Davis rounds out the top 10 just ahead of Noah Hart. Now, looking at these final 4 playoff spots, it looks as though James Ellison definitely has one. Audrey Ansack has one. Austin Runkle, despite having a poor day today, he manages to sneak into the playoffs. And despite the terrible start to the season he's had up to this point, Riley Hooper, by the skin of his teeth, will take the final playoff spot by 5 points over teammate Carson Jefferson.
Yeah, great drive by everybody in this race, and great drive throughout the season to make the playoffs. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of these weeks play out, but the 92 on top with momentum for the rest of this season. 83, definitely going to look back on this race, but also just proving himself that he can run up at the front and chase down a tough competitor.
So with that being said, the regular season is now over, and we have 7 races to go. Oh, and well, unfortunately, if you're gonna have a mistake,
oh, no.
you might as well have it at the end. But yeah, we're gonna have to work on that in the next drivers' meeting when we come here again. But regardless of the post-race shenanigans, it's still a very good day for everybody involved, and for 10 drivers in particular, this has been a very good day because it means that they'll be racing for a championship, and that is the ultimate goal for everybody involved. So, final thoughts from an insane race at Canadian Tire, because this one was a lot more exciting than a lot of people made it out to be.
Yeah, this track always proves to be one of the best on the calendar, and I'm grateful that I'm able to watch this. But I think next year I gotta try this out for myself, because this seems like a ton of fun.
So, from Ben McDonald and from myself as well, we say goodbye from the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and we say goodbye to the regular season as well. What an exciting 13 races it's been so far. Even though Brian Grigsby will not be racing for a championship, he scored maximum points today, and he's got his season back on track with a well-deserved win. And for 10 drivers, Zachary Bilson, Francois Chastain, Ryan Griffin, Earl Sears, Zach Rogers, Billy Kidd, James Ellison, Austin Runkle, Audrey Ansack, and Riley Hooper, they will be racing for a championship. And we're looking forward to that as much as you are. We'll see you again next week for the throwback race at Darlington, where our playoffs are set to get underway.